Do you find yourself overwhelmed with all the details? Here's my solution to an easy way to draw realistic fur. Starting with outline, underdrawing, rich colour stroke detail stage. Be sure to watch it right through till the end because here and there I'll be slowing things down in real time so you can take a closer look. So let's dive in and take a look. A good way to actually learn to do the outline as freehand is a quarter grid. That's the last stage really. You start off with 1 inch, 2 inch, then a quarter grid, and then just a center point. So from the center point of the grid, getting the shapes in by imaginary angles and seeing everything as just shapes rather than naming it eyes, nose, and fur. So if you look at it as just shapes and you get in proportions by comparing one shape with the other shape, and you've got this quarter grid, so you've got a little bit of an area there that you can judge, the negative space, which is the space around objects. So you're just feeling your way through. So if it doesn't feel right, it needs attention. The surface I'm using is Pastel Matte Dark Grey, the board version, and the pencil is a Carbothello 708 dark grey pencil, which is ideal for this. And I'm using a Faber-Castell kneadable razor just to sculpture the shape. So I'm changing things up by just rub them out and then realign them so you can play around with the shape so you don't have to be exact when you apply it. You can just move things around as you go. So what I tend to do is put it in very lightly to start with, and then once I'm happy with the placement, then I'll start to sort of be more accurate with it, because the more you can do at this stage, the easier it will be with the underdrawing. So each stage makes the next stage easier. So I'm quite, sort of careful getting the feeling right, just making sure everything is in place, similar pattern. Don't have to be exact, but you just get a sort of similar sort of pattern and the feel of the subject as well. That's important. So if you get the feeling right, you're halfway there. Here's the colours I'll be using for the underdrawing stage. Mostly Carbothellos with a couple of Contia pastel blues. Starting off using the Faber-Castell needle eraser to actually ghost the outline first, get rid of the excess grey, and then using olive green, burnt sienna, lemon yellow and white just to roughly get in the actual shape of the eye. Now with the under drawing I'm correcting the outline because mostly it's freehand, so I'm correcting it, making sure it's in the right place, but everything is put on very lightly so it can be easily moved. I'm using brown and blue instead of black at this stage, just so it's easier to move again and change up. Now here I'm using olive green with burnt sienna because they're complementary colours, one's green, one's reddish, and so it creates natural sort of tones, natural shadows. Now, I tend to do the underdrawing quite loosely. I'm not really interested in getting the value right, the colour right, the temperature, or the chroma. It's only used really to get all the shapes in the right place, so it makes the next stage a lot easier. And you're adding pigment over the pastel matte tooth as well, which makes it act like a vehicle as well. So when you put the rich colours on, they go on smoother the next stage. So it's really nice to sort of let go and feel the energy and flow and be loose with it at this stage. It's really a nice stage to learn you to be loose and enjoy the freedom of just letting things just happen and not try and control things too much. I tend to hold the pencil quite a distance away from the point as well, which will help with the loose marks as well, so it'll flow easier. What helps to keep you relaxed as well is because you're using just basic colours. I'm using burnt sienna, brown, yellow ochre, white, either light blue or dark blue. And it just makes it easier just to get these shades in there. And you're just playing about with these sort of different tones and just enjoying the freedom of it and not really concerned at this point with all that detail and subtlety because that will happen later on in the video. What I tend to do as well is leave the reference image small enough so I can see the whole image and I can feel the energy. So open my heart, let go of the mind, and I send this open heartness to the reference image. And the more you can do that, the more the energy of the subject comes out. And what I do is focus on feeling that and letting that flow through me and letting things just happen and just let it flow. If you're enjoying this video, why not subscribe? It's absolutely free. Then you're sure not to miss any of my future videos. Even though it's all applied very loosely, I'm still aware of the placement. I try and get as close as I can. It's not important to get exactly the same, but if you get a similar pattern, you don't lose your way then. That keeps you more relaxed rather than being too random with your marks. The reason I'm using the Pastel pencils and the Contia pastels is because they're very chalky and they're very sort of easy to apply and they don't create a lot of grain, not like Caran d'Ache. So if you put these in first, like I mentioned earlier, it's a lot easier than when you do put Caran d'Ache over the top for the richer colours. Now for the rich colour stage is the pencils I'll be using, Caran d'Ache ones, very rich in vibrancy, and the ones I used earlier as well. Now it's time to get all the values in right and the chroma. So I'm aware of the chroma, the temperature, the values and the edges. So there's a lot going off when you're doing the rich colour stage. But normally what I tend to do is block it in to start with and then come back later on. You'll see me later on in the video, putting these little details, these final details in. Because I always think that you can spend a lot of time doing something, then when you get a different area done, you've got to go over it again. So you might as well do all the details, the finer subtleties at the end. Now for the darkest darks, I'm using the Caran d'Ache black and then just adding a bit of brown with it or a different colour with the black. Then I'm using like flesh tints for the cream areas because it's yellow ochre and white and a bit of red. So I'm using those from the Caran d'Ache. Faber-Castell white as well for the fresh areas. So I'm putting that white down, glaze over, white down, glaze over, adding that little bit of brown and blue to create a subtle shadow as well as the black. Just slowing it down to real time now and a close-up look at how I'm putting the details in. This is the Faber-Castell white. So if it's really fresh, I put that in first, then glaze over with a burnt sienna. Just add in light pressure, just let the pigment just sort of come off pencil and just glazing with the yellow ochre as well. Now for the nose here, I've got a pencil which is a very similar colour, which is the violet pink from the Caran d'Ache. So I put that in first, then get me dark black around it. Then I've used the lemon yellow to create more of a chroma. So anything that glows, just add that little bit of lemon yellow. Then you put a bit of cold red with that and yellow ochre. So you have to play around with different colours on top of this pre-mixed colour, if you like. So if you've got colour that is similar, it's always good to use, but then you can just add these different colours just to subtle it up. Just like to take this opportunity to thank all my patrons for their wonderful support every month. I can't thank you enough. It really means the world to me. If you're considering joining me on Patreon and would like the benefit of longer, slower and more in-depth videos, please check out the link in the description below. Most of the videos I put on Patreon now are all in real-time audio and video, so you get a closer look at how my approach is step by step. One of the benefits of joining Patreon is that I list all the pencils and brands of what I use. So be sure to check out that link in the description below for more details. Right, for this area here, I'm using the Carbothello black. It's a nice black actually, that is. It creates a natural shadow really. And this is a handy pencil, the Payne's Grey as well, because it's like a blue-grey colour, which is really handy. Now I'm using the flesh tint 5% underneath the glaze, so that colour then will shine through the colour I put over the top. It creates more of a glow. Then going through with the details, putting that little bits of brown in there, then going little bits darker colours, then lighter colours, and then just keep glazing with different tones over the top. Now it's a case of getting the temperature right as well. Some are glow more, some are warmer. So I'm putting warm red there. It's vermilion from the Caran d'Ache, really nice colour. And then I'm getting the texture now of the fur. So I'm just moving my pencil, different squiggles and circles, just to feel it. So you've got to really feel that fur and let that feeling go through you rather than think about drawing it. You've got to feel about drawing it, got to feel it. And then I'm going over that Payne's grey and black, brown, and sort of losing myself into it. So imagine that you can put your hands through the fur. So if you get these feelings, it seems to manifest itself in the drawing. And then it's just a slight little pressure here and there, more pressure where it's lighter, less where it's not so light. And then just putting these very slight details in there. But I'm not going over the top. I'm not thinking about the details. I'm letting the details take care of themselves. It's just a feeling, just let it flow. And then you'll be surprised how it just sort of manifests itself. With these very subtle areas, some very soft, I'm putting a light pressure so it's layer after layer after layer. And I'm putting that warm vermilion in there for the warmer areas. So I'm feeling the temperature and then going over with the Carbofella white because that's a very soft white and then going over with the yellow ochre. But then what I'm doing overall is softening it now with a grey. Now this is a 706 which is the same colour as the pastel matte but it's ideal for softening areas. So I'm using that as well. Sometimes a grey is a really great tool to use just to soften certain areas. Now I've done the same thing as I did on the cheek there, just putting that dark brown, black, the Payne's grey, and then going over with the white. So it's the same procedure as I've shown you earlier. And I'm just glazing over with a burnt sienna, sometimes a blue. So it's warmer, you're using burnt sienna. If it's cooler, you're using blue. So you've got to feel the temperature. So it's just a case of getting a feel for it, really. So you're putting all these textures in first, then glazing. Now it's the glazing that gives it that reality look, that sort of realistic feel to it. Without glazing over top of these marks, it'll look a bit sort of unnatural. Right, on for the details now for the whiskers. I've using a brand new Pitsch pastel white 101 and I'm chamfering the point with a snap-off blade. You tend to do that because you can turn the pencil round to find a new edge rather than using a pencil sharpener. Now these are the colours I'm using for the whiskers, brown, white and black because they tend to go white and into brown and black as they go into the fur. It seems that way anyway on some of them. So I'm putting the white down lightly to start with and then just glaze over a bit of blue or a bit of burnt sienna. It depends if they've got that warm feel or cool feel. You can reshape things as well by using a grey. But you can see here the black goes into the white and then a little bit of brown on there as well. So it's worth paying attention to that and trying to emulate it. It gives that sense of realism to it. If you're enjoying this video, why not give it a like and share it with your friends? It would mean so much to me as this would help the channel to grow. So I'm repeating the process here, just doing it very lightly to start with, get a feel for the shape of the whisker. And then once I'm happy with it, I'll go over then with a bit deeper colour, so I'll press on more with the pencil. So while I'm adding these whiskers here, I'd just like to give you this free class if you want to know about how I create shadows using complementary colours. It applies to everything I do. It says portrait here, but it applies to landscape, pets, wildlife. So you're welcome to it, and the link is in the description below if you're interested. Once I've got them lightly in, I'll go over them with the Faber-Castell white, just putting that little bit of sparkle here and there. Some areas are lighter, some are subtler, so it's just highlighting certain areas of the whiskers. All I'm doing is twisting the point of the pencil and just taking my time, a little bit at a time, just to put those little highlights in, and then light pressure where the subtle whiskers are. Now, it's worth spending quite a lot of time with the eyes because the eyes are the mirror of the soul, and the feeling of the cat is all in the eyes, really. So I've put a lot of attention to the temperature, and I'm really connecting deep into the cat and letting that flow through you again. So just open your heart. Don't go with tunnel vision. Really study every detail and come out to yourself. Bring the image into your heart and draw from there. Just a real time again, just to show you I'm using the cotton bud, just dabbing it, not sort of scraping it along the pastel mat, just dab it. I tend to dab my finger, on things to soften them when I'm doing oil painting. It's the same sort of thing, but it's a good idea just to use a cotton bud, but just a dab here and there. It just makes a difference to the subtlety of it. What is important as well is the actual chroma. That's how things glow. Now, a little tip here, a little bit of lemon yellow, no matter what colour you're using, just lifts it up and gives it that sort of zinginess. It really does make a difference, just adding that lemon yellow. Thank you so much for watching the video right till the end. I really appreciate it. If you've enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. It will mean so much to me, as this will help the channel. Fascinating one to do. It makes a change from all the portraits. But if you do specialise in portraits, doing something like this really helps and enhances your work, because you're learning how to use pastels in different ways, especially if you've got a lot of hair to do as well. So very interesting, beautiful colours in this subject. So I've really enjoyed it. I hope you have too. If there's any questions at all, please leave a message in the comment section below this video and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. But in the meantime, if you want to see more of my work, please check out this video here. Take care. Bye.